Welcome into a Thursday edition of Betting Weekly Fast Break. This one day off between games 3 and 4 of the NBA Finals. I am Doug Kezirian alongside professional bettor Chris Macero, and lots to get through as Indiana now has a 2-1 series lead and still has home court advantage in these finals after stealing game 1 on the road and starting to make a lot of doubters into believers, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a believer in Indiana the whole time. I did not think they could win 4 games against OKC based on the fact that I thought OKC, we talked about it before, as the best unit in the playoffs the whole season, their defense. But I'm telling you right now, you let a team get this confident and a team that has a lot of guys that are playing like a team. And we've discussed it. We said yesterday had 7 guys, double figures. They're not relying on one guy, and they have these unbelievable moments from some of the bench players. We saw Matherin last night. He was a plus 16, 27 points off the bench. The guy could not miss. And how about TJ McConnell? I mean, he had 5 steals. He was intercepting. It was like he was a defensive back. Some of these plays, he was intercepting passes. The TV's cutting one way, and he's going back the other way for a layup. It was like a pick 6 a couple of times. I mean, what just a great gutty effort by him. Did have a few turnovers, but he was a plus 12, 10 points. So just some great individual efforts. The superstars played well too, Halliburton and Siakam. But I mean, some great individual efforts by some key bench guys. If you look at OKC's bench, not much happening. Just a few scattered points here and there. 3 guys doing the bulk of the work. Dort hit the 4 threes. But great team effort by Indiana. And, I'm not sure if they can pull it off, but this sure is exciting. We're going to have a deep series now. We're probably going to go 6 or 7. So exciting stuff. And, I'm a believer in the Pacers. Why not?
Yeah, way over trend last night, died in the third quarter and essentially the fourth as well. So this one stays under the total. The Pacers have covered 2 of 3 games so far in the series, winning outright as an underdog in each of those games. So we turn the page, and what series price that was once minus $7 is now only minus 235. OKC still favored. The comeback with Indy is plus 185. And game 3 tomorrow night. So obviously no travel, and therefore just one day off. And on a Friday night, Pacers 6-point home underdogs, 225 the total. So the numbers come down in terms of the over-under a little bit as well. Let's talk series price. Thunder still favored. And what they do, they meaning the odds makers in the betting market, just for those a little new to the program, is they're just factoring in the money line, projected money line of the remaining games. And it goes into sort of a formula and expected value, blah, blah, blah. And that's how they get minus 235, because the Thunder would be such big favorites in game 5, which we're guaranteed to have. And then game 7, potentially, and game 6, they'd be a 5-point favorite or so on the road. So here's some series spreads as well. OKC to win the next 3 games and win in 6 would be plus 195, because that's how you cover the minus 1.5 games. Over under 6.5. Will we have a game 7? That's essentially what that is, a yes no prop, and the no is minus 141. So there's ways to look at this. You have the exact outcome you can do as well. Pacers, I mentioned favorites in game 4, that are, there's a little bit of a tax. Thunder, any read here on series spreads or even just the straight 2-way money line?
Well, I had Pacers from before middle of the playoffs at 14-1 to win the whole thing. I came back with a couple of sizable bets at OKC to win in 5, which are obviously dead. And I added a little OKC to win in 6 before, after game 1. So I figured I was covered, and I go worst case scenario, it goes to 7. I'd still be able to somehow finagle a hedge because I do have that 14-1. I'm just not so sure. I don't know how I understand it. Like you mentioned, it's just a rollover parlay with the money lines. But how are you feeling confident laying any sort of double, minus 230, minus 250, whatever it is, on OKC to win this series? I mean, Indiana, for as good as the outcome was last night, they did shoot 51% from the floor. But overall, OKC had a better game. I mean, they shot it better from 3. They had shot more free throws. They had more rebounds. The one factor they didn't have is, again, this assist thing. I'm not sure what's going on with either Carlisle's really dialing it up to figure out a way to stop the passing lanes, or they're just standing around waiting for SGA to do something. But only 16 assists again last night. Indiana distributed a little bit better, 24 assists. Points in the paint were pretty similar, 50 for Indiana, 48 to OKC. So I'm just not sure why anyone would go to run to bet OKC right now. I mean, if you have a big number on Indiana from before the series or before the playoffs to win the whole thing, hey, maybe you come in now. Maybe this is going to be the last chance to get a good number. And like I mentioned yesterday, OKC tends not to lose back-to-back games. But the factor that the Pacers only shot 33% yesterday from three, that would scare me off, because this team very rarely wins a game when they shoot 33% from three. That's usually a loss. In the 19 playoff games that they've played, when they shoot 38.2% or less, they're only 2-4. So last night was the first, one of the only wins when they've shot below that number. Going back throughout the playoffs, when they shoot 38.2% or higher, they're 12-1. So what if they come out tomorrow night and shoot their 40%? They've shot 40% or higher. They shot 50% one game 10 times. So there's potential for this to happen. It's almost better than 50% chance that they're going to shoot 40%. And if they come out and shoot 40%, the Thunder aren't going to win. I mean, and how can you be confident? They haven't covered one game on the road, and they're 4-4 straight up on the road in the playoffs. So I wouldn't be laying that number in OKC. I said there was value yesterday with Indiana. If you felt they could win the game, which I thought they could, it was definitely value in the series. I don't see it. If everything for me in this next game, and I know you're on the other side because of the zigzag, but it's Indiana, everything for me, or pass.
I agree. I can't play it. The tax is too high. I think the market, and really, you were saying, I don't know if it was rhetorical, but I'll answer it, is saying I can't understand why anyone would lay that kind of price on a Thunder team. And it's just because people get married to basically habits. So over the years, the NBA has been predictable, right? And good to see Byron chiming in with a question. And it's just habits that it's a predictable sport, but things have changed in the NBA. The last handful of years, we haven't had a repeat champion. We've had a much wider net that you could throw to get a team that had a chance to win it all, right? Usually it's like two teams, maybe three at the beginning of the season. That's not the case anymore. And there's more balance. Also, things change in the playoffs, and everyone's married to OKC's power rating and whatnot, and how they perform in the anatomy of a team that can dominate a regular season like OKC has is not always transferable to the postseason. And the Pacers, who were very good once healthy January 1, do have that anatomy. And it's an elite coach, multiple all-stars, but more so, the way the series is played out, it's the perfect formula to pull off an upset. And I'll tell you why. It's not Halliburton and or Siakam outplaying SGA 4 out of 7. You steal a game one, which they had no business winning, right? They hung around, and led for only 0.3 seconds. So you steal one game, and in a weird way, you mentioned the shooting percentage. They actually stole yesterday. Now, Halliburton was great, almost had a triple-double, but you stole it because of Mathurin and the bench. So the bench won you that game. McConnell changed the game, and he was stealing inbounds passes as if this happened in the WNBA, everyone would be ridiculing the team inbounding the ball. But because it's the NBA, it's like, oh my God. But he's stealing inbounds passes. It's ridiculous. Caruso throwing it from under the backboard. It's pathetic how you could not inbound the ball. This wasn't a press where it was just McConnell lurking. It's embarrassing. So you really kind of steal two games. Now you can win two games with Siakam going for 35, including like a 14-point fourth quarter or something like that, or Hallie going for 40, and then bang, you got to. So it's reminding me of the Mavericks game series against the Heat in 2011 when the Mavs stole game two. They were down 15 in the fourth quarter of game two. They were about to go down 0-2, and then they closed the game on a 22-5 run, and they stole game two. And then it just played out perfectly after that. So Carlisle knows what he's doing, and you have to finish off games. And you're right. They're standing around looking at SGA, and he is only one guy. He's great. He's the league MVP, but he played a above average game instead of a great game, and that's why they're leading 2-1. There's no way I can lay 6. There's no way.
No, definitely not laying 6. I can't. I've heard a couple. I've listened to a few different shows today, and everyone's like, "Oh, what do you think the line was going to come out at?" And everyone said, "Oh, it's just going to come out the same line." Why? Well, I don't understand. They have not covered one time on the road. Maybe this will be the time. I don't see it, and I don't like the
It's
fact.
insane. So what is that? What I'm cutting you off. What's that stat? Is it 0-9 right now on the road in the playoffs? ATS.
0-8 ATS, 4-4 straight up, and they still keep making them the favorite. I mean, it just reminds me of. I mean, you can go back the last 2 years, me being a Celtics fan. Some of these games where they just make the Celtics this ridiculous amount of points favorite, and then they lose the game. They lose the game, and it's like no big deal. Oh, the power rating's the power rating. And I love the point that you were just making. Things have totally changed in the NBA. I used to be a big futures player. I'd always bet the NBA champion or the what other sport champion. I don't do that anymore. I only bet the conferences. It's too volatile. The teams are not like there's no guaranteed team that's automatically going to get there. The old David Stern NBA, they're going to get the calls, the superstar player, the big market. They were saying the whole playoffs, oh, there's no way it's going to be OKC versus, Indiana, 2 small market teams. All that stuff is out the window. It's just a straight up game now. Who's ever good is good. Whoever has the more deep team is better. Whoever has the GM that constructed a team that's not the big 3, because that doesn't work anymore. You need the big 8 or the big 9. You need a good rotation of players because people play faster. It's a more up tempo pace these days. And I'll tell you another thing, and this is very concerning if you're an OKC backer. Chet Holmgren, who we were kind of off on yesterday. You were right. He did go over the rebounds, but he was out of gas in the second half. And I'm surprised what he's going to look like in a quick turnaround. He started out like, he was unbelievable in the first quarter. I'm like, Chet's having one of those games. But he had absolutely nothing left in the fourth, and it showed. And they had, what they have, 18 points in the fourth quarter. That's not going to cut it in the finals for a team that's supposed to be the greatest team ever, the greatest power rating ever, greatest net rating ever. Yeah, they're a good team. They're young. The coach isn't as good as Carlisle. That's pretty obvious. And I just think at this point, I think Indiana's deeper than them. And I couldn't lay points or money line or a series or anything. It's Indiana or pass me. I haven't made a bet on this game yet, but I'm going to be looking more on the Indiana side, no doubt about it.
Funny, the Pacers remind me of the team, even though they lost the finals, they got your Celtics last year of Udoka, because that team was 18-18 at some point in the regular season, and then flipped the switch and kind of figured out their chemistry and all that. The Pacers have sort of hit that second half surge and made a run, and everyone just assumes these Thunder guys are better. Like, yeah, the Thunder may have some weapons here and there, but you can only play 5 at a time. And the key for Indiana, or one of the keys, I should say, is they have dudes who have an edge. And I think that changes the game. McConnell, Mathurin, Nesmith, I've been saying it all playoffs, and look who changed the game. Mathurin, and then you just saw some of these Thunder wussies playing on their heels, like Holmgren getting pushed around, and McConnell completely mucking it up, energized by the crowd. And frankly, when teams are favored, whether it be football and whatnot, you kind of play almost with a lead, like you're supposed to win and not to lose. And I felt like the Thunder did that. They pressed me at times. They had a nice start, but that second quarter with that bench unit really changed the game, and everyone's standing around and looking at SGA, and the other guys who need to step up don't. And I think that Mark Daigneault made a giant mistake with Hartenstein, because he's a guy who can play with an edge and give you that frontline dominance, and he's not in there enough. And I think that's helping the Pacers. Now, granted, things are different. If they win game 1, we'll see how game 2 goes. I mean, obviously, you can't assume that game 2 is a dominant win for the OKC if they actually won game 1. But the Thunder need to start looking around and looking at themselves, because SGA needs some help, because this Pacers team is definitely better coached, and they have stolen a couple games. And so now the All-Stars can go win the series, in my eyes.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like you said, what if game 4, Siakam goes for 35 and Halliburton goes for 30 or something? Those guys have not yet to go off. Obviously, OKC's defense pretty solid. Another point, I was listening to I think it was Zach Lowe or Bill Simmons last night. They were saying that Nembhard being from Canada, has been playing against and with SGA for a long time, that he kind of knows.
Right.
He knows his tendencies. I thought this was a great point. And he's not afraid of SGA at all. He's been playing with him his whole life. He knows his little okey doke moves when he tries to do the push off, and he's not falling for it. And it's just, I think it's just kind of putting a little snag in their offense. And you're right, they're not distributing the ball. And it's just been proven 2 games that are, 2 out of the 3 games, 16 assists, game 1, 13 assists. That is not the way OKC plays. And they're just not getting those easy transition baskets. I'm not sure if it's just because Indiana's, they devised they didn't turn it over as much, which was good. It was only OKC actually had more turnovers this game, 19-14. But the OKC is not getting those easy fast break points. I don't think there was any alley-oops last night on their side.
10 fast break points, 10.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's a huge fact. I mean, OKC is good because they're super athletic and young and fast and just super talented. But they're not getting those points, and they're not getting those. The alley-oops is one of those big things. Chet coming in, or even Hartenstein, and good call on Hartenstein yesterday saying it's probably going to be under. And we reiterated that he's just not playing. Again, he got 18 minutes, 4 points. So, I don't know. They're gonna have to mix up the lineup a little bit. Maybe start Caruso. Maybe put Hartenstein back in the starting lineup. I'm not sure what it is, but they got to get something else going and get the ball moving, free flowing on the offense, because 16 assists is not going to cut it. And especially if Indiana has one of their 2 guys go off, which has not happened yet. So maybe Indiana wins the series in 5. Who knows?
Yeah. Under 5.5 would cash.
They're playing with a lot of confidence, and I'm not gonna step in front of them right now.
We've got some good interaction here on the comments section. Good to see those chiming in. Some friends of the program. Adam Osimo is representing, I think, of a large betting sort of group out there. I've been on OKC. I don't know what to do anymore. Well, the Thunder were in this situation against Denver in the conference semis, and they were down 2-1 on the road and down in the fourth quarter with a live money line favoring the Nuggets. But they stepped up, made the plays, and got out of there with a 2-2 series. And they have responded. They responded game 4 against the T-Wolves on the road. Now, they were up 2-1, but Minnesota threw everything at them, and they responded and got the 3-1 lead and finished things out at home. So this Thunder team is not dead. I wouldn't pour dirt on them, but I also wouldn't run to lay $2 and change. Some interaction. Andy B chiming in. If you're looking to bet Indy, bet them now. Number is only going to come down. So he likes that. I mean, for game 4 plus 6. So we've been talking a lot of the breakdown of the series. So it sounds like nothing in your eyes, nothing for me in terms of the series spread or money line before we get into game 4.
Well, the only thing I would take based on the position I have in the series, I have, like I said, I have 14-1 from the day before Tatum got injured. I have a Pacers beat OKC at 12-1, smaller wager. I took some game 5, in 5 for OKC, which is out. And I have some in 6. So the only thing I would look for is OKC in 7. I don't think, and this is your point, you've made it since we started the show. It's really tough to win 3 games in a row in the NBA and play well 3 games in a row and cover 3 games in a row. So I would doubt that Indiana or either one of these teams, OKC, is going to win 3 in a row. So even if OKC does get tonight and then they get the home game, I'm pretty sure Indiana is going to get game 6. So maybe you look for OKC at 7 if you already have some Pacer money backed on the series. I mean, how many people laid $8 before the series? So most people who following the show or actually have a series bet probably have the Pacers. So I would say the best way to get out of it, if you want to, do a hedge, I would say OKC in 7 instead of laying that 230, because it's really tough to win 3 straight games, especially 2 of them at Indiana. I don't see that happening.
And there's also the over-under of 6.5 games. You can play over 6.5 plus 104 and try to scoop both in case the Pacers win game 7 on the road, because I definitely think Indy has the guts and capabilities to win a game 7 on the road. They've demonstrated that, and they will have won already 3 games in this series, so they know they can beat this team. Let's turn to tomorrow night's game 4. And just a reminder, everyone, we are Monday through Friday, betting weekly fast break, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. And we are on a roll here as we're about to break down. Chris had the points plus 5.5 yesterday. He also had it every which way between that as well. But I'm 5-0 on prop bets in games 1 through 3. Wes, who's going to be joining us on tomorrow's show, is 2-0. So we've been dishing out some winners. You got hooked on the Siakam prop that I forced you into at the end of the show.
Well, luckily after the show, when I started digging around, I was able to find a 27, which I tweeted out. So sorry for everyone who watched the show that got 27.5. I did find a 27 minus 120 and a miracle layup by Siakam at the end, where he just kind of hung on the rim and it went in. And everyone I was with in our group, we all had it. So we were all pretty excited last night watching the game. So I got through.
Hallie got there too. Halliburton got there with 20 plus too.
Yeah, 20 plus. Siakam had 20 plus. And we still got a shot for the Dort most threes. He had 4 threes. Unfortunately, Halliburton had a bunch of threes too. We went 4 for 8, 9 for 17 from the field. He was making some long range jumpers, and it was just money. I mean, he had a really solid night. 9 rebounds, 11 dimes. Like I said, I knew Halliburton was going to come to play. Everyone giving him grief, in game 2. So I'm happy for him. He played well.
Right, and you see here, it's Halliburton's the favorite right now to lead the NBA Finals in 3-pointers, but he's one behind Dort. Dort's had 2 4 3-pointer games, and really 5 and 4 and 1. So really remarkable what Dort's doing yesterday on the road. So he's plus 140, second favorite. He's got the most made threes in this series. Nesmith was almost silent, didn't have an attempt until the fourth quarter, midway through, and so he's lurking at plus $4. These are series bets for the total aggregate accumulation and whenever the series ends, right? So currently Halliburton has 9 made threes in these NBA Finals, and he's plus 100 to finish with the most. So it's like a golf leaderboard. It's like, Scheffler being back and whatever. You guys get the point. So it's been fascinating to watch. Holmgren's now the favorite. I thought about it yesterday, plus 400, but I don't know how many more rebounds he's going to get the rest of this series. I would bet Holmgren under. I think he's soft. Like you said, he ran out of gas. I think it's going to be tough for him to get many rebounds tomorrow. Now he is, Siakam's leading this series in rebounds. He's 1 ahead of Holmgren. I think Holmgren under is the play here. I think he got his token double-digit rebounding game, but I think to your point, he's been running out of gas. Would you think Hartenstein plays more and gets some more rebounds? Halliburton at 22 rebounds, 1 back at Siakam, plus 800 is tempting for sure, just because he can, get a triple-double.
Yeah, and he's out there a lot too. I mean, Hartenstein, the problem is he's just not playing. He's averaging 19 minutes a game. It's not less than he's playing 40% of the game. It's tough to back him. I know he had the lead yesterday. He was sort of the favorite. I still tend to believe that Siakam's going to have one of these big breakout games, and I think it's going to come. I think it's going to come tomorrow night. I really feel like he didn't even have that many shot attempts. He was so efficient in the first half. He's so unselfish too. I wish I had just said gave it out the PRA, because he had 4 assists, which was shocking. He just really makes the right pass, at the right time. Tall guy, sees the floor well. Just a really good player, solid player all around.
He really is. He's like a kind of a modern day Pau Gasol. Plays a little differently, but just the perfect number 2, the Robin to any sort of Batman. And he's just so solid, but you don't want him as your best player per se. But I mean, look, he was conference finals MVP. I thought it should have been Halliburton. It was 5-4 vote, but he is a really good, fills up the stat sheet, number 2 guy for a championship team. He's certainly capable. And frankly, he's been much better than Jalen Williams. And that's been a difference in this series as well. It's been a close series. Let's be fair. OKC's not done just yet, but those are some fun props as you look at Siakam's 30.5 PRA for game 4. So on the side, I'm on Pacers or pass, and that's a change because I thought whoever lost game 3, I was going to back in game 4, but I just can't lay that taxed number. And the total, I mean, we turn around. You mentioned the familiarity with each team's defense and the offense. I would look under 225. I'm annoyed that this over-under kept dropping.
I would go right back to team total Indiana Pacers. I mean, they only made 9 threes. I mean, they usually shoot 40 a game, which was a very, very weird game last night. It was a very excellent basketball game. I really liked it, just due to the fact that it wasn't the regular Celtics versus Minnesota, where everyone's bombing the three, dribble around, shoot a three, dribble around, shoot a three. It was a lot of ball movement, a lot of passing, especially on the Indiana side. 24 assists. They made their free throws, but they didn't shoot well from three, which is not really their calling card. Like I mentioned, when they shoot 33% or less, they only have one win, and that win was last night. So for the playoffs, so that's just something to look at. And I think if they can, even if they improve it to 38.2, which is the baseline for most of their wins, that's going to push their team total over. I like it. I mean, in the game where they didn't play that well and lost, they only had 107 points. The team total is only 109.5. I just think the energy of the crowd, the fact that Chet was running out of gas, the fact that they didn't turn it over as much as they did the previous games. I really like this Indiana team. And if you can, like last night, Indiana team total went over, like we mentioned, but the game stayed under. I'm still going to stick to that because I think Indiana's going to try to run them out of gas again and see what happens. I wouldn't want to be taking the under with an Indiana team that wasn't on par with the regular 3-point shooting, just in case they get hot.
Okay. Live X Music on our chat comments section says Nuke OKC -5.5. Interesting. Okay. I don't know about that. I mean, they are 0-8 ATS on the road in this postseason. The Pacers, you saw what the crowd did to them. Now, they're off a win instead of a loss. I like under 225. Now, I'm on the show tomorrow. I got to sleep on it one more night, but I'm looking to play that under. I think the quick turnaround as these series go long, I do think you're due for a kind of a low-scoring quarter. And frankly, last night's third quarter, we were poised for like a 40-42, and they did score a lot in the last 2 minutes to land 49. But still, I just don't know if we're going to see one of those shootouts. And typically the quick turnarounds lend itself to that, but that's why the market's adjusted. So you got to understand that number. Yeah. On the total, Chris, what about you?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And one of your other points too, and I was thinking about when OKC had they were trailing late in the third to Denver in the same situation. But I just think this is Indiana is not Denver. Denver had 4 players. Granted, they had, the best player in the world, but they just ran out of gas. Indiana's not going to run out of gas. If Indiana
absolutely
takes this game seriously, and obviously they're going to take it seriously, but they've had other games in the playoffs. The infamous Siakam game where he said that, they played harder than us. If they play their game, I think they're going to win the game tomorrow night. I really do. I just feel like this OKC team, for as good as they are, they're still super young. They don't have as talented a coach. And unless somebody steps up really big time, I can see Indiana just winning this game. It sounds crazy. I just don't think they're going to run out of gas. And if the quick turnaround, one thing, but it's not Denver. It's not their only 4-man rotation. I just really got a feeling Indiana's they're gonna be right there at the end tomorrow night.
I agree. That's why I vowed before game 3 saying whoever loses game 3, I'm going to bet on in game 4. No, I know the zigzag theory says Thunder. I just think it's a different situation. I think the power rating is off on these Pacers. I just think they are. So I just think it's too many points. We had some nice comments in the comments section saying things along those lines. Nuke OKC. Look, it's good. That's why we don't know, right? We don't have the next day's box score. Player props. I'm very confident I'm going to play Holmgren under 8.5 rebounds. I thought that was the one sort of outlier game. It's interesting with the points. Does Jalen Williams step up? Does SGA bounce back and go over 33.5? Halliburton obviously got into the 20s. His points prop went up from 17.5 to 18.5. I don't see Holmgren having that kind of performance. Turner, it was announced late last night, was fighting a bug, may miss practice or shoot around today. I haven't checked if he did, but he had a bug. But, these guys have top of the line medical treatment, but that's part of the equation. It's factored in. These are reports. Anything stand out to you from a points prop or anything along those lines?
I'm going right back to Siakam. I did say, even though he was right on the 27 last night, I did see it tick up to 28. I think it's because they think he's due for the points. He's due for a big points game. He only had 6 rebounds last night. Like you mentioned yesterday, there was a couple of rebounds where he was the only guy around, and it swished in or it bounced over the backboard. Like there was a few extra rebounds he could have got. So I'm going to go right back to points and rebounds with Siakam over 28. So you can mark that down as official play. I'm not sure what Bet Rivers has it up as.
27.5
Yeah.
at Bet Rivers.
Yeah,
Nice.
same thing. So 28, 20. If you get to 28, you win. So I'm going to go right
Gotcha.
back. I'm going to go right back to that, and I'm also going to play Siakam 20 points, whatever, over 20. So if he gets to 20, you get a little plus money there. So those are the two I like the best. I'm going to dig in a little more, see what else I like. But for right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to play the Pacers +6. I might. I'm just going to let it sleep overnight and see what I think tomorrow.
Yeah, the spot's not the best, right?
No,
The
it's
spot
not.
isn't great. You've been doing this a long time. So have I. We know that the spot does favor OKC, but there's a tax, and the market could be wrong here.
Well, the market's been wrong on every single OKC road game. So, and when people make fun of me on X about saying, "Oh, you're making fun of OKC, but look how great they are." Yeah, they're great, but I don't care about net rating. When you take a look at all the teams that made the playoffs and made deep runs in the playoffs, OKC is pretty much 500 against the teams throughout the season and the playoffs. Okay, I don't care about they swept Memphis and they beat Charlotte by 40 in February. That doesn't matter. When it comes down to it, how do you play on the road in the NBA playoffs? They haven't played that well. Yeah, they blow teams out at home. They haven't covered once on the road, and they're 4-4 straight up. So you're playing probably the second best team, or maybe the eventual best team left in the NBA, and they're at home, and that team's getting 6 points. That just doesn't make sense. So I get it. The guy chimed in that says nuke OKC. You know what? Maybe they finally cover a game, but I'm not going to lay it. You're going to have to prove it to me first.
Right. So 3 plays there. Pacers over 109.5 team total. Siakam over or 20 plus points, and then over 27.5 points plus rebounds. I'm going to officially do Holmgren under 8.5 rebounds at -115. I think there's regression, and I really think you nailed it with he hit a wall, and there was a softness. And I don't. Yeah, the Pacers won't be at 10 in terms of a 1 to 10 scale in terms of energy, but I think they'll be 9.5. I think the crowd and everything, and I do think they have a swagger and a confidence. And anybody who's played sports at any level, if you have an elite coach and you know it, you definitely play with more confidence. And there's just a feeling like we're going to win, not we can win. And so I think there's a confidence with Indy that they're here to win. And I do think while this Thunder team did get bounced last year in the playoffs, and they learned from that, they also kind of don't know how to win these big sort of environment games. They had a couple nice road wins in the playoffs already, but you mentioned they weren't convincing. And covering 6, you got to win by 7 or more. That's a big number. So I think the Pacers are the side. They have the swagger, and I think that's going to play itself out in the prop market, which is why I like Holmgren under, and I'm looking at some others.
The only close game they won was a game 4 at Minnesota, which was a fantastic basketball game. It was probably the best game of the entire playoffs. Obviously the the Pacers comebacks have been super exciting, but for a gate to wire NBA basketball game in this year's playoffs, the game 4 Minnesota OKC game was my favorite. But that's the only close game they've won. I guess you could say the Memphis comeback when they were down 29 was a close game, but they ended up winning by 8, even though, that was weird. That was just a weird game. They're down 29, almost covered, win by 8, but they've lost all the close ones. So I don't think this is going to be a blowout at Indiana's place tomorrow. So it's probably going to be a close game, and I just can't see laying 6 points. It just doesn't make sense.
In terms of the prop market, Hartenstein doesn't look at the basket, barely played. His prop went from 7.5 to 6.5 by tip off. It's 6.5 again. I think he might get a little more run, just his experience. I think Dags has got to go to him. I think Caruso will play a little bit. And he's sort of guys that you think, what about Matherin? So he was 10.5. Now he's 11.5. I still like the over. He's played 22 minutes each of the past 2 games versus 16 minutes in game 1. I think Carlisle likes the matchups, likes what Matherin brings. Now, he had a couple buckets that were not fluky, but right place, right time. But we don't need 27 points from Matherin to go over 10.5 or 11.5. You just need 12. Oh. And I think Carlisle likes him more than Nesmith at times.
I like Matherin too. I've had him for all sorts of props all throughout the playoffs, and I keep catching him on the wrong nights. So I mean, last night if you had him for most points, 150 to 1. So don't tell me these things don't.
Yeah.
They come in. They come in. You got to figure him out. I don't know. He just couldn't miss less. I like him. He could do it again. He had back-to-back great games in the Knicks series, but then he also had 3 games where he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So I actually think your angle on Caruso and Hartenstein might be a good one, because I think there's a good chance they both might get to start tomorrow. And if you switch up the lineup, all of a sudden you have Hartenstein and Caruso, and you're catching them at low numbers right now. Their numbers are based on what they've been playing in the series, and all of a sudden they're in the starting lineup. That's going to be a huge benefit to you. So something to think about. I'll have to dive into all the prop markets. I haven't really done that yet. I'm going to be on Siakam. That's the one for sure.
I think Dags can do that. Can he completely change a starting lineup? And then if you lose, then what? Then that sends the wrong message to a young team. So I wonder if the minutes will change accordingly and basically be starting minutes. But I wonder, I mean, there's a risk involved here. This Thunder team's on the ropes a little bit, and I worry. And again, Carlisle won 3 straight games when he was down 2-1 against the Heat in 2011. Now it's a different team and different era. It's almost 15 years later, but I do think there's elements when you're taking down this is a must win for the Pacers in my eyes. You can win a series and go for the knockout early. You don't want to go 2-2 and give back home court advantage. I think the Pacers are going to be all in here.
Oh, it's a great point. And I think if they can just hit their par for 3-point shooting, 38.2%, they'll be right there at the end, if not winning the game throughout. OKC has a tendency to just start slow. I mean, last night was the opposite. They started fast. And I was like, wow, maybe they're really coming to play. I'm on the wrong side of this game. But as you can see, Indiana's just not intimidated. Halliburton's not intimidated. Siakam's not intimidated. Matherin's not intimidated. Like you said, they got some tough, strong, mentally tough and physically tough guys. They're not intimidated by this OKC team at all. And I think the Nembhard angle, knowing SGA as well as he does, he's not intimidated by his good friend, but the best player in the MVP of the league. He's guarding him half the time. He's not intimidated. And they're just staring around looking at what the heck's going to happen. Who's going to step up? Nobody is stepping up on the on the bench for OKC. So I'm not asking for someone to.
I agree.
I'm not asking for someone to. I'm just saying at some point they got to get more guys involved, or maybe mix it up. It's not working right now. They haven't had. They won game 2, but I thought it was more of Indiana just didn't really play well. It wasn't the greatest OKC game. So nothing's really working. So maybe switch up the starting lineup. I mean, you can just put them in for 5 minutes and just mix it up. Maybe you just get a different matchup. So I'm just saying it could be an angle to look at. Caruso, veteran, been on a championship team. Hartenstein, veterans, been on some playoff teams. Get him in the starting lineup. Maybe it adds a little, sense of clarity for the other guys, and they get off to a better start because. A lot of these games they've been behind early, so we'll see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana hops on them early, and then maybe all hell breaks loose for OKC.
The sneaky great time of year for sports bettors and sports fans. We have the College World Series and part of the Bet Rivers Network. Visit the College Sports Rush YouTube channel for our College World Series betting preview. Jimmy Ott and Charles Hannegriff. That opening game is tomorrow on Friday. 2 p.m. Eastern, and always should go check out the newsletter. Sign up for free, bettingweeklystudios.com. It's 30-plus pages, links to podcasts here on the Bet Rivers Network, all the Bet Rivers odds, bunch of soccer previews, tennis. French Open was last week. We have the grass court season now underway, so a lot of good stuff. And great stuff from you, Chris. Appreciate the insight. First reaction, we'll have Wes Reynolds, boots on the ground in Indianapolis, ahead of Game 4. He'll join us. No WNBA tonight. We'll have some WNBA plays tomorrow and looking ahead to the weekend. So Wes and I will break that down. We'll also, of course, be another thorough deep dive on Game 4 of the finals, as Indy would obviously be the favorite if they win that game as a 6-point dog tomorrow. So a lot of good stuff ahead. Appreciate everyone chiming in for Chris Macero and everyone else behind the scenes who does such an awesome job producing, researching, directing, making it all look good and getting the finished product out to you. I'm Doug Kezirian. We'll see you back here tomorrow.